Well, folks, it's about that time. No, I'm just fucking with you. I'm not gonna do a fucking classic Mandy shit. But today we're here. We're gonna be talking about Death Knight. If you don't know who Death Knight is, get out of here, cause like Death Knight's a cutie. Joking aside, Death Knight is from Overlord. He's one of Ain's summons, one of his mid-tier summons, but he's a beautiful bastard. I'm gonna post a picture here of him. You know, if you don't love him, you know, you should just be canceled. You know, deleted from Twitter or some shit. I don't fucking know. So we're gonna be talking about how strong is Death Knight. Now we're gonna go into some low tier stuff and then some mid tier. I want to talk about his higher tier stuff, but I'm gonna leave that as like a surprise because I have to go into Ain's and cosmology scaling for that. So I'm just gonna go the lower stuff, and then if you guys want, just let me know in the comments after I do the Ain's video that I'm working on. I'll make a part 2 talking about the higher tier stuff. Okay, so to get into the lower end stuff, because like, you know, a wonderful site known as like Versus Wiki, you know, where they just put in so much work. Sorry, but like, you know, they just do like amazing research. Like, guys, they're only building level. Come on. When we have, I'm gonna post the scans obviously, there's already like statements where like Fluter is like one of the most powerful like human mages capable of 6-tier magic, where him and a squad of like his disciples literally just pulled up on Death Knight, and just to slow him down they had to like in unison like just spam him with attacks, and it's literally stated that they abused the fact that he can't fly and just started bombarding him with like attacks that were compared to carpet bombings. And carpet bombings, how powerful are they? Well, you know, if we go off of I'm using some like calcs from a friend of mine, Mr. Crafty Scales, gonna plug that in there. He did a calc where, you know, carpet bombings usually they should be about city block plus level. I will post obviously, like I said, I'm gonna be posting the scans for this, but this doesn't end there. So this is already higher than what Versus Wiki has, because they only have Death Knight at like building level. But next we're gonna get into some more stuff where 6-tier magic, we see that it's already been calced. I'm gonna be posting the calcs on screen. That it's been put at around large mountain to island level, because control weather is considered 6-tier magic. Funny thing is Death Knight which is a mid-tier undead summon, that's already 6-tier. So, you know, obviously not all spells on the same tier are like on the same level, but like arguably I would say Death Knight would be stronger, just due to the fact that undead summons from Ain's already get buffs just from being summoned by him. So you could either have him at the same level as the control weather, which is already calced at large mountain to island level. So you could have him higher, or you could say he's on the same tier. So we already have low end city block plus to large mountain to island level ranges already, just for like low end scaling. But then if we want to get into like even like crazier stuff, so now we're gonna have to see, this is what I was talking about, the scaling off Ain's. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna go into higher tier stuff for this. Just gonna be going over like what's already like, you know, known and quote unquote accepted, not that I care for what people accept, you know, like, because if something can be proven, it can be proven. So like on character stats, I know some people have issues with using websites, but like they have the calc for the large stars, so this is the only reason I'm bringing them up. So Ain's has a feat where he's able to create a black hole. This black hole was calced at being large star level, and if you want the exact numbers for it, it should be about, this was calced at being about 1,164 tenatons of TNT. And if you're not a big fan of that, that's fine. Well, I already converted it. It's already been converted to joules of energy. It would be about 4.87 times 10 to the 42nd joules of energy. Now, obviously, Death Knight doesn't scale to Ain's, because Ain's considers him to be like fodder. So we have two interpretations that we can do, where we can either say Death Knight is only worth 1% of Ain's strength if you think the levels are like, you know, I know this is like a weird argument argument that people make where like, you know, the level difference isn't all that, but in reality the level difference is like considered like immense. But if you want to say he's only about 1% or like 100 times weaker than Ainz, this would only you know, the difference between large star level and like 100 times weaker than one star. How to speak, how to spoken. God. But large star level, or the numbers that we got for to the 42nd power divided by 100, that puts it at about 4.87 times 10 to the 40th joules of energy, which would still be, yes, it would be in the low end of small star level. So even with Death Knight being 100 times weaker than Ainz, he'd still be small star level. But then if you want to, I know some people are going to be like, no, there's no way he's only 100 times weaker. Just, you know, there's two interpretations. If we can go with 100 times, you know, just to be kind of fair, I guess, quote unquote, if you want to be generous. Or we could go with the Death Knight ain't shit, basically, argument, where I calculated with some help from another big brain intellectual optimizer. You should check out his channel. Guy does a lot of amazing content philosophy, but enough of that. We basically did some math and help me out here, where it was basically, if Death Knight was only only 1/1,000,000th of Ainz's power, and for those of you smooth brains like me, that's about the equivalent of being 0.0001% of his power. 1 in 1,000,000th, just take that into account. This would give a result of 4.87 times 10 to the 36 joules of energy. And ladies and gentlemen, or, you know, individuals watching this video, that would be large planet level. Yes, it would be large planet level. So in conclusion, to like power wise, we can get Death Knight anywhere from city block to all the way up to island level on the lower end stuff. And then for the mid end, large planet to small star ranges already. So he's already just cleaving through a lot of verses, just saying. I might do a video on Death Knight runs the gauntlet with some lower tier verses, but this is just for power. We're not done for this video yet. Now we're going to be going over speed. Now for the speed, we already have a statement that Death Knight is able to move as fast as lightning. Ooh, lightning. A lightning speed is about 270,000 miles per hour, but converting that to like Mach would be about Mach 364. So about for Mach 364, that's already massively hypersonic, a lot higher than what they had for him on Versus Wiki, because big brain intellectuals over there only have him like a fucking supersonic, I think. But that's already like, you know, that's kind of just being disingenuous in my opinion, because a lot of it is just implications and just scaling off of other characters. But like the lightning stuff, that's just like the bare minimum, because Ainz's subordinates, they have a crap ton of like lightning speed statements, like Shaltir and other characters. Obviously Shaltir scales above Death Knight by a large margin, but like that already in itself is just kind of garbage, because there's already more impressive statements for Death Knight, as in some of Jerknev's, his knights already say themselves that they believe Death Knight to be stronger than Gazev Stronov. And if you don't know who that is, it's the kingdom's like most powerful warrior, especially with his sacred national treasures. Gazev is considered like one of the top tier warriors of like humanity, like barely just before the realm of heroes. But the thing is, there are statements that kind of say he can, if he surpasses his limits, he can reach that realm of heroes. And Gazev has statements that put him at faster than light just with his normal attacks. That his attacks are compared to flashes of light, just his normal swing. But if that's, I know there's gonna be that one person like, it's hyperbolic, guys, it's hyperbolic. He does have an attack. I know that there's gonna be that one person name fallacy, but it's called the 6-fold slash of light, where he creates like 6 attacks that are just slashes of light. They're literally just said to be moving at the speed of light. I will be posting the scans for this. And the funny thing is that like we already have Death Knight being stated to be stronger. I know strength doesn't equate to speed, but when you're stronger than somebody in this verse, it's usually because like you're faster, stronger. A lot of the time it could just be skill difference, but that's kind of irrelevant. To further add to this argument, so we could possibly argue off of the Gazev can increase his speed more with a skill called flow acceleration. So we could argue that Death Knight being stronger than him would in turn just have him being speed of light to faster. But if you don't want to take that argument there is in the web novel. I know web novel, light novel, there's a difference, but this is just for Death Knight scaling as a whole. You could just make this a comp version if you like, but this is just throwing this in there as a little extra. Death Knight and Gaza did have a duel, and they were going blow for blow, and Ein stopped the fight out of fear for Gaza losing his life. Just throwing that there. So in conclusion, we can get him on the lower end to lightning speed, and up the higher end we can get him to speed of light to FTL. And then there's also the fact that we could argue higher just from him receiving like buffs from Ainz. Now we'll just leave it at there for speed. Now we're gonna go over some of his abilities. Death Knight is actually has some pretty decent hacks. I would say one of his best hacks, which is what makes him like Ain's favorite summon, is that he has an ability to survive any attack, no matter how powerful it is, one time with 1 HP remaining. So like if someone could be like millions of times, trillions of times more powerful, and it's just funny because like even if a being with like higher dimensionality just pulls up. I know sounds like a no limits, but it would just be funny. He can also draw aggro from his enemies, so like he's good. That's why Ainz considers him good, because he draws aggro and he can survive any fatal attack one time. Another great thing about him is that any of his victims that he kills, they become bound to him, like their souls become bound to him for eternity, and they become zombies or ghouls. So he can make his own personal army just from killing people. Some of his resistances and immunities, he's immune to like biological manipulation, such as like the undead are immune to rot inducing gas. He has soul resistance, arguably because he has no soul, but also because he can be near soul leaders with no problem, when just them existing can rip out souls from like thousands of people, hundreds to thousands of people. Fear resistance, because he himself can also induce fear in enemies, and he has not been affected by enemies who their fear manip is so strong people just die. He has immunity to critical hits. He has dark vision, so this man can see in the dark better than fucking night vision. He has immunity to death. He has disease immunity. He can fight just for eternity without any stamina drain, because he just has infinite stamina. He doesn't need to eat, drink, or breathe. Let's see. He's immune to having his energy drained. Well, yeah, because he's undead. He is weak to, he has certain weaknesses, but we'll get into that since this is a video just, just getting him going, just put him out there. So we'll talk about his weaknesses a little bit later. He's immune to mind manip, any kind. You can't brainwash him. You can't put him to sleep by like turning off his brain, because he doesn't have one. He's immune to being paralyzed. He has resistances to physical attacks, or like you trying to make him weaker with debuffs. He has resistances to that. He's immune to poisons, and any negative energy just heals him. He's also immune to any form of sleep, like inducing attacks or anything like that. Some of his weaknesses are, sadly, he does take double damage by fire, and he has a weakness to holy attacks, light attacks, like holy light or anything like consecrated area vulnerability. So he has a weakness to fire and holy attacks. That would be like his weaknesses. Or so like not many people can like damage him. Even if he does take extra damage from those attacks, if you're just flat out weaker, he will box you up. So like this man is actually insane. So if this video gets good reception, if you guys want to see it, I will make a video of like Death Knight runs the gauntlet with like lower tier verses, and then when I do like my Ainz video, which upscales the verse, it would in turn upscale Death Knight. If you guys want to see a part 2, I will do it, and then I will do like can Death Knight take on like these verses, because he's like a one-man army, and he can create his own personal army. So I think it'll be an interesting video thing. So just let me know in the comments if you guys want to see that. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. But I'll probably have a better version of me asking that. But you guys have a great day or night. Now fuck off.
Hey guys, please like the video and subscribe. Oh my god. You like moan at the